The Cellular Jail, also known as Kala Pani, situated in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The prison was known to house many notable Indian activists during the struggle for India's independence. The Cellular Jail is one of the murkiest chapters in the history of the colonial rule in India. First of all, what is the meaning of Kala Pani? Actually, this word is derived from Sanskrit word Kal, which means time for death, and Pani, which means water. The name itself suggests that it was not a very lively place with healthy surrounding. Actually, it was a colonial prison in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which is a very isolated island surrounded by sea water and is considered to be a part of India. Since the Britishers have ruled over India for around 200 years, and during this period, Indians fought against them many a times and failed to conquer. The first rebellion took place at the year of 1857, which was known as the First India Independent Movement. Shortly after the rebellion was suppressed, the Britishers executed many rebels. Those who survived were exiled for life to the Andamans to prevent them from reoffending. Although the prison complex itself was constructed between 1896 and 1906, the Britishers had been using the Andaman Islands as a prison since the days in the immediate aftermath of this rebellion. 200 rebels were transported to the islands under the custody of the jailer David Barry and Major James Pattison Walker. Another 733 from Karachi arrived in April. At first, all the prisoners were employed to clear the dense forest on the islands. They were put onto the slavery as they were forced to do over-exhausting work. They were used in chained gangs to construct the prison cells, buildings and other harbour facilities. The late 19th century saw the remarkable rise in number of revolts against the British government as the freedom fight has picked up its pace. The prisons in the mainland started overflowing with the patriot Indians, which underlined the need of a huge and an impregnable prison to incarcerate the freedom fighters. The result was the construction of Cellular Jail, which has been described as a place of exclusion and isolation with a more broadly constituted remote penal space. The building is having a puce colored bricks. The bricks used to build the building were bought from Burma. The building had 7 wings, at the center of which a tower served as the intersection and was used by guards to keep watch on the inmates. The wings radiated from the tower in straight lines, much like the spokes of a bicycle wheel. A large bell was kept in a tower to raise an alarm. Each of the 7 wings had 3 stories upon completion. There were no dormitories and a total of 693 cells. Each cell was 4 to 5 by 2 to 7 meters in size, with a ventilator located at a height of 3 meters. Actually, the name cellular jail is derived from the solitary cells which prevented any prisoner from communicating with any other. Also, the spokes were so designed such that the face of a cell in a spoke saw the back of cells in another spoke. This way, communication between prisoners was impossible. They were all in solitary confinement. As for example, Savarkar brothers, Bavada and Vinayak didn't know of each other in the same jail but in different cells for 2 years. 21 wardens are hired for each corridor of the jail during night to keep watch at that time. The prisoners are also treated there in a very inhuman manner and like slaves. During 12 hours of the day, the warden insisted that the prisoners shall take no occasion to ease themselves. The various tasks given to the inmates are cane and bamboo work, coconut and mustard oil churning, gardening, swamp filling and hill cutting, husking and opening coconuts, and many more. The inmates have to control the call of nature for hours, and they were allowed to do their mundane activities only during a specific period of time every day. Prisoners were locked in their cells at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and the lock was opened only after 6 in the next morning. The cells were damp and dark and were coated with thick moss. Inmates were forced to go around the oil churns like bulls to take out the oil from the beans. They were brutally flogged or punished by the guards upon failing to perform the stipulated work. The food given to the inmates was not only unhygienic but also shredded by worms. Wild grass was also boiled along with vegetables. Drinking water is also full of worms and insects. The jail has seen two major mass hunger strikes in order to protest against the inhuman treatment enforced by the jail officials. One of the strike was held during the early 1930s which called attention, as during this strike Mahavir Singh, an associate of Bhagat Singh, was force fed milk which went into his lungs and he died. He was tied to a stone and thrown in the sea. Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore intervened in this matter. The government then decided to repatriate the political prisoners from the cellular jail in 1937. In March 1868, 238 prisoners tried to escape, though there was nowhere they can run to as the whole place was surrounded by seawater. By April, they were all caught, of which one has committed suicide, and amongst the rest Major Walker had 86 men hanged immediately for sending a clear message to all the inmates. Despite of the harsh and unbearable treatment, it was also observed that the transportation to the Andaman became hugely popular among many activists. As for them, the imprisonment in cellular jail was a testimonial of their devotion and their love for their motherland. For them, it was an honor to die in front of other freedom fighters, those were living with only dreams of free India. Some of the names of the well-known freedom fighters who stayed in this jail and are not being mentioned earlier in this video are Diwan Singh Kalepani, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, Sadan Chandra Chatterjee and many more. In the year of 1942, the Empire of Japan invaded the Andaman Islands and drove out the British people. The cellular jail then became home to Britishers which are treated as prisoners. During this period, Subhash Chandra Bose also visited the island and a statue of his has also been made at Maina Park to remember his visit to this island. In 1945, the British resumed control with the end of World War II. After India achieved independence, Britishers have to leave the country. Four wings of the jail has been demolished after India achieved independence, and in the obtained area after demolition, a government hospital named as Govinda Ballabh Bhai Pant Hospital was set up in 1963, which is now the biggest hospital in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The remaining three wings and the central tower were converted into a national memorial in 1969. Today, the cellular jail is the landmark of Port Blair and stands as the memorial of the martyrs who demonstrated the highest degree of patriotism and the courage to embrace the death fearlessly in the quest of achieving the freedom. The flogging stands, oil mills, various instruments used for torture, the gallows, cells and workshops vividly depicts the pain and the sorrows the freedom fighters must have suffered. Today, the cellular jail is one of the most visited tourist spots in Port Blair. The jail has the photo galleries showing the Andaman's olden days and some of the great freedom fighters who were incarcerated in here. Netaji Gallery, dedicated to one of the greatest freedom fighter, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and the cell where the legendary freedom fighter Veer Savarkar, who spent 10 years of rigorous imprisonment, are among of the major attractions. Well, the real highlight of the cellular jail visit is the sound and light show, organized for the visitors twice in the jail compound. The show revives the dark phase of in the glorious saga of freedom fight. Many Indians fail to stop the rolling tears in the memories of the departed souls as they witness the show and while roaming around the premises. Cellular jail has marked its centenary in 2006. The prison, which once upon a time was one of the most notorious places in India, is now being worshipped as the place of pilgrimage, where the memories of lion-hearted freedom fighters are cherished. Truly, the cellular jail has gone through the long journey from a torture machine to a national memorial and from a dreaded prison to a place of pilgrimage. Every brick of the cellular jail has a history of sufferings and sacrifices. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe and share. And if you want to give any suggestion or if you want us to make a video on any idea that you have, please mention it in the comment section below. You can also email us, and also please like our Facebook page. All the links are given in the description below. Thank you for watching.